Hello, beautiful souls. Debbie here, and I'm so excited you're joining me for today's show. As CEO of Up Vibrations, my goal with this podcast is to motivate you by sharing insights and also taking you along as I speak to knowledgeable people that I have found inspiring for me throughout my years as an energy medicine practitioner and channeler. I cover topics that I'm passionate about, all things under my three pillars of live, love, and lead. Live encompasses our planet, the food, exercise, meditation, your soul. Love, well, that begins with self-love, and that includes energy medicine, self-reliability, personal responsibility, spirituality, self-empowerment. Lead, this is how you're showing up in the world and how you are making a difference for the better. So tune in and listen up for this exciting episode to begin. But before we do, I have to read this disclaimer. This podcast and the topics discussed stem from my own curiosity and desire to learn and should never be taken as direct medical advice. I am not a doctor, dietitian, or any other medical professional. Please always consult your trusted provider regarding your health and your wellness. So let's begin. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Live, Love, Lead. It's a podcast that wants to fill you in about how to live your life, how to be in community, and how to be in leadership. So today, I want to share with you this amazing person that I have on my side. Her name is Verney. She's been a friend of mine for a few years. She's a powerhouse as helping someone of our ages with living our best lives. So let me just read to you a little bit about Janet and let you get to know her. And then we'll get on with talking with Janet, who's here with us this morning. Hi, Janet.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, everyone. So this is Janet Verney. She's an author and artist with a passion for wellness and whimsy. She is certified as an integrative nutrition health coach and is the community coordinator for the gut health course at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Janet is passionate about creating plant-based recipes and loves helping others to, quote, health up, unquote, their lives through primary and secondary foods. She's shared her healing journey on TV, radio, podcasts, conferences, and workshops. Part of her own healing therapy includes creating whimsical, upcycled clothing that can be found on her Etsy shop, Janet Fashions Flips. When she's not working on wellness or in her art, you can find her either in her garden, on the water, with her grandkids, with her puppy. You can learn more about Janet by visiting her website called rootstowellness.com. So welcome, Janet. I want to also add to this that Janet is working on a cookbook. And recently, her and I decided to do a cleanse. I do one every year. And when I muscle tested for the cleanse I did last year, my muscles were like, no. And I said, okay, universe, I'm opening to you showing me what the path is going to be before me for this next cleanse. And don't you know, Janet popped up and was sharing with me, hey, I'm doing this cleanse. It's amazing. I love these products. Get in touch with me and I'll share more with you. And I was like, that's my sign. Like, I don't overthink things. And so I reached out to Janet and shared with her that I wanted to really health it up even more by challenging myself to eat the way she eats, which is whole food, plant-based. And she does things with no oil. And so for me, that's a challenge. And I'm always up for a good challenge. So I reached out to her and said, could you be such a great bestie and help me with some recipes? And she said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm working on a cookbook. So I'll share some of my recipes with you and you can try them out for me. So the recipes have been fabulous. My husband does not eat the way I do. He does not cleanse. And he loved the recipes. So I have things that she shared with me from breakfast to lunches to snacks to dinners. So let's get this episode started because I'm very excited to share Janet with all of you. So hi, Janet.
Hi, thank you for that warm introduction. And yeah, I'm having so much fun with this. I mean, you know me, I'm not a product girl. So to be introduced to this whole reset cleanse thing was an interesting prospect. And I was so impressed with the products because they were certified organic, which meant they were third-party tested. They're based on whole plant-based foods, which you know I love. I mean, basically live that lifestyle. And I love the energy of it because the process that this company uses, they basically are doing these foods in such a way that it's a slow heat, so they're raw, and they're when you rehydrate them, they come to life. They're like living raw foods, which is like the best food on the planet. So you know me, I'm a foodie. I like look for all organic or locally grown, and understand how they're processed. So Deb and I have talked a lot about being mindful, because there's an energy behind anything and everything we do in life. And there's an energy to our food. I mean, think about the sun and the water and all that goes in to growing our food. It starts as this little seed, it germinates, and then when it's cared for, kind of like our body, it grows and nourishes into this wonderful nutrient dense plant. So that's what I like to fuel my body with. And so when I think about, there's what I call a reset, but there's also what I call living a detox lifestyle. And so I pretty much live a detox lifestyle year round. Occasionally I have my plant-based cookies that have a little sugar in them, or I might have some vegan gelato. And if I'm really letting my hair down, I might enjoy a glass of wine with a friend. But generally, I keep my lifestyle very clean. And a big part of that is because I had to heal from a chronic disease. And so by nourishing myself with this, I got myself off of all prescription meds, all machines, mechanical devices, everything that was helping me to breathe when I was really sick. I'm now off of and doing on my own because of my lifestyle.
So it is exactly as they say, that food is the medicine, when it's the proper food. So you and I look at food because we've been on this health kick with organic for forever. Like, I know as soon as I got married and started having children, when I found out I was pregnant, I went all organic because I wanted to do what was best for my baby. And
Right.
What I loved what you said a little bit ago was how the food is raw, and when you add it, you constitute it with the water, it brings it back to life. I love that piece of it because I understand the energetic piece of it. And I understand that there's times when you eat foods and the foods you feel horrible after. It's because usually that their energetic field has been killed off, either by being microwaved or by being cooked too long, or by pesticides being in it, or by other things that aren't natural to the plants. And growing up, we didn't have to worry about organic growing up because the soil was enriched. We didn't use all the Roundup that they use on the crops today in order to feed us as a population. So I know growing up in Vermont, we always had a farm and we gardened, and we also put up our own food and canned it. And we were a blue collar family. I was one of 4 kids, and both my parents worked full time. So the garden was really important. But I love how that came full circle for me. And even though I hated it as a young child because I wanted to be out with my friends, hanging out at the mall and doing whatever, it actually was a gift that my parents gave me. And I appreciate that about them. And it spurred me to even take that on into my adulthood. So I always have a garden. I'm always putting up food. And I love the feeling of that sustainability and the feeling of sufficiency. So I can feel like I can supply food for myself, God forbid, if I ever needed to. I know that I could, that I wasn't going to starve myself. And it's interesting to know that I don't need to eat a lot of food as long as the food is dense with nutrients. And so I want to talk and touch base a little bit about what we call frankenfood, which we refer to with foods that are overly processed, foods that have things in it that you taught me to take it to the next level. I show up at Janet's door and we go grocery shopping together, and I'm like, okay, so this is what I buy. And I take something off the off
Yeah.
the shelf, and she's like, well, do you read the label? I'm like, oh yeah, it's this and this, and there's a couple things. And she's like, okay, well, let's look at it. So then we
Okay.
look at it, and she's like, do you know what that ingredient, do you know what carrageenan is, do you know what anything ending in atoll is, do you know? And I'm like, no, like I just figured because it was a good brand and because it had less yucky stuff in it that I've already researched, like I thought I was doing a good job, but
Yeah.
she really helped me peel it back to even a better job. And so as I'm aging, I think it's important for me personally in order to keep fit in my body and feel like I have a lot of energy, it's important that I consume products that are going to, heal my body, my temple. I don't take any medications. I've never had a major health issue, a health scare, and I don't want to as I'm aging. I don't want to be on medications. So having Janet in my pocket as a resource, I'm so blessed as our friendship, and I don't take it for
Oh,
granted. So tell
oh,
us
thank
more
you.
about your journey and what happened with you with your illness.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, well, I have a lung disorder that also presents with the gut as well. So I've done a tremendous amount of research in the almost 40 years that I've had this chronic disease. And, many studies at the NIH, Yale, and unfortunately, I was never able to receive a diagnosis, but clinically, they've always treated me as though I've had cystic fibrosis.
So
So
did you go to an in-house program when you were
yes,
first? You did.
yeah, the National Institutes of Health has a funded program called the Undiagnosed Disease Program. And when you go actually to Bethesda, Maryland, and it's on site, I was there for an entire week, 8 tubes of blood a day. I had a team of about 50 doctors studying me, and they were from all the different specialties and environmental and you name it. There was, and my primary doctor while I was there, of course, was pulmonary because that was the major, problem that I was experiencing.
Okay.
I learned a lot about what I don't have. And they truly believe that there's a gene in the same pathway as CF that is creating this issue. But when I left there, I had an aha moment or this connection to spirit, if you will. I was on the train and I had the day before a transbronchial biopsy, which is pretty scary because they go deep into the lung and there's a good chance they could puncture the lung. So they did a pretty major procedure on me and sent me home on the train the next day. And on the train, I was coughing up blood. And I really felt like, am I going to make it home to see my family? Like, that's how sick I felt. And suddenly, all the noise in the train, I apologize if you hear my dog in the background. Ollie is beside himself because he hears me talking to somebody. But anyways, all of a sudden, all the noise stopped on the train. I stopped hearing the train sounds. I stopped hearing the people. And I just had this little connection, if you will, the silence that spoke to me that said, stop chasing the diagnosis and do what you can to optimize your health. And that was in 2009. And that really, it just hit me. And I just said, that's it. I'm done being a guinea pig. I'm done with studies. I went back to school. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and became certified in 2012. In 2013, I went to the Hippocrates Health Institute and spent 3 weeks there doing a very intense reset, if you want to talk about resets. And that was kind of life-changing for me. I always say it was like hitting the reset button on my body. I left there still pretty sick, but I had this powerful belief that I could heal. And I went from, when I showed up on their doorstep, I had transitioned from living in fear to living in hope. And I was surviving on hope. And when I got there, one of the mentors that was one of our teachers said, we need to remove the word hope from our vocabulary. And I was like, what? I mean, that's what I live on. Are you kidding me? And he said, hope leaves room for doubt. think about it. Hope leaves room for doubt. When you hope for something, is it going to really happen?
Mm,
And we need to change, replace it with the word believe. And so
yeah.
I started believing that I was well, believing that I could change the course of my life. And that was so powerful for me. And I ended up writing a book in 2014, Roots to Wellness, which was about my healing journey, the power of positivity and fueling your body with good nutrition. And there was something that I thought of when you're talking about food as fuel. We are these really sophisticated biocomputers. That's what I like to think of ourselves as. And one of my mentors had said this in a talk that I listened to. And, we need to program this sophisticated biocomputer with the best fuel on earth. It's like having that sports car. It's not going to run well on just regular gasoline. It needs premium gasoline. And so when we want our bodies to run efficiently and on, its best performance, we really need to feed it the best nutrition. So when you talk about label reading, I mean, the first and foremost, go through your pantry and get rid of anything that's got high fructose corn syrup. It's causing America to become obese. Partially hydrogenated oils, or any, in my opinion, extracted oils, are fueling the inflammation in our body. So often these extracted oils, even the quoted olive oils, the avocado oils, the touted to be good for you oils, when they become rancid or overheated, or even just in their raw state, they have this heaviness on the body. I often work with clients who come to me and say that they feel tired all the time. They're fatigued. They've got this weight on them, and they wake up tired. And so some of the things that I suggest are, let's remove some of the extracted oils in your life. Let's replace them with whole good fats like nuts and seeds in moderation, whole avocados, olives rather than olive oil. Then you're getting the good nutrients, the fibers, and all of the phytonutrients and all of everything that when they extract the oil, there is getting removed from the plant. So those are some things that I look for. When I read labels, I look at like a nut butter. If you go to Jif or Skippy, it probably has hydrogenated oils. It has sugar. It has, chemicals in it, preservatives, etc. So I look for, and, it's so wonderful now that, like, if you're near a Stop and Shop or a Trader Joe's, or they've got an organic, or like Food Works or Whole Foods, they've got organic peanut butter with the only ingredient being organic peanuts, period. Some might have a touch of sea salt. That's okay. A little bit of salt's not going to hurt. I try to stay away from the shaker in general, but I really look for clean ingredients. So if I'm reading a label and I can't pronounce it, or if it's got way too many ingredients, like a lot of these, like lean cuisines, Weight Watchers, a lot of these supposed diet foods, or even the Healthy Choice, read the labels, like try sifa. I can't even pronounce half of them. I mean, it's like,
Right. Yeah, that's my problem too. And this isn't this doesn't it's so much easier doing this today in today's day and age than it was even a decade ago when we were doing this, because now you can find organics, you can find clean ingredients in, like, 2 ingredients that you can actually say in a product. So in some products, people that you might be picking them up and it might not say organic on it, but it says, peanuts and salt. Just know that a lot of peanuts, when they're grown, they're covered with Roundup. And so that is grown into the food itself. So that it has a high, glyphosate? Does that what it does to the body? And
yeah,
Janet can tell you more
I
about
have
that.
to tell you, one of the things that people tend to transition when they want to get away from dairy, they tend to go to the almond milks. And if you look at the grocery store now, we are just inundated with plant-based milks. Okay, but look at those milks and read the labels on them. they've got guar gum and carrageenan and if it's almond milk, almonds are actually a fruit. They're not a nut. They get put in the nut category, but they're actually a fruit. Most people don't know that. And that particular fruit is one of the most heavily sprayed fruits on the planet with Roundup. So it's getting a hefty dose of glyphosate. So people think that they're being super healthy by drinking their almond milk or eating a handful of conventional almonds. So I call them conventional and organic. So conventional starts with the number 4. If you read the little sticker on the labels, they'll start with a 4 if it's a fresh produce. And if it's organic, it begins with the number 9. So you always want to look for the organics, but yeah, so the glyphosate that can sit and there, I actually just posted something on social media about Roundup and glyphosate and how it leads to cancer. And there's a lot of research still being done on this. And even eating organic, sometimes we have cross-contamination if it's too close to a farm that's using conventional grow methods. So we all probably have some level of it because how heavily this particular product is used. And where it sits quite often is in the gut and in the tissue. So again, on the reset that we have both been through is this wonderful probiotic that helps remove glyphosate. It's like one of the only ones on the market that can help flush that out and get rid of those toxins in the body. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, where does glyphosate process in our body? Does it go through our kidneys? Does it go through?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. I don't know the answer to it. I just know that, your digestive tract, we have something I affectionately refer to as the street sweeper. It's basically, its term is called a migrating motor complex, which is also known as the MMC. And your MMC, basically, when you are going through an intermittent fasting or overnight when you're sleeping, your MMC, which often presents itself as what most people think are hunger pains, you'll get this little growly sound. That is your MMC going to work, cleaning up the debris in the digestive tract. It's really cool. I just love this stuff. But it's basically taking anything that you're not absorbing for the good, and it's helping to remove that and process it through your digestive tract, through the small intestines, through the colon. And so that MMC is really critical. And so lots of people that are chronically snacking, like between meals, you're not giving your MMC a chance to do its job. And sometimes it can shut it down. Sometimes heavy laden fried foods and overly sugar foods can help stop your MMC. So, a cup of coffee without cream or sugar, or a cup of green tea or a glass of water won't typically shut it down. But as soon as you introduce things that have calories or flavorings and things like that, it's going to shut it down from doing its job. So that's the little bit I know about it, not being a doctor, but from all my gut health experiences, that's a really important process to allow to happen.
It really is. And I love how you explain it in a way that is layman terms for women like me. I mean, I'm not the breadwinner in the family, but I am the one that brings in different resources into the home. So the monies that we spend in the home, I spend them. So I'm very particular about what products come into my home. My home is all chemical free. My laundry detergents, my soaps, my shampoos, my dish soaps, my dish pods to go in the dishwasher, all my cleaning products. Like but I've been that way forever. And back 10 years ago, I used to use these new companies that came out with like Tom's of Maine or Seventh Generation. Now, 10 years later, those companies have been bought up by some of the bigger corporations like Lever. And so now they've changed the composition, even though they kept the labeling, they've changed the composition of what they put in it. And people relied on the brand. They've kept the brands within their umbrella, but they've changed the ingredients and they've added some terrible things to it. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a tricky road. So unless you're in a networking group and you're talking about this all the time, you really don't stay on top of it because you're living your life and you're having fun. So It's it's been a roller coaster, but I just love that we've been together and we talk about things. It causes me to share more information with my friends. I love that I went to Costco with my husband after my session with you. And you know what? We could buy some organic oats there that were sprouted. We could buy some organic sprouted oats. We bought organic salsa that we can use in the home.
Yeah.
You can get products out there. You just got to spend the time doing the research, having these conversations. So I really appreciate you coming on today for this. I want to continue this for a second session and have us talk more going into a few other things. So I hope everyone, all my listeners, I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you enjoyed meeting Janet. Please go follow her. She's on social media. Janet Verney, Verney. Look her up, start following her. She is a powerhouse. You're going to want to get to know her. We're going to talk more in the next session about the cleanse that we're doing, and we're going to talk about some other fun things. So there are products out there that you can buy. If you want to know what they are, Janet and I know what they are. Reach out to us. We would love to share our knowledge with you. So take care, everyone. And thank you, Janet, for coming on today. And I'll talk to you again in a little bit. We'll get this going a little bit again.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening today. If you loved this episode and all things related to raising your vibration and living your best life, you can connect with me online at debbiesodegren.com. Check out my YouTube channel, Debbie Sodegren, and follow me on Instagram at Debbie Sodegren, Facebook page of Up Vibrations with Debbie Sodegren. I invite you to join me inside my Live, Love, Lead community. The link is on my website. You can always send me your questions or comments or just say hello on social media. And remember, a shift in perception is sometimes all it takes to up your vibration. Until next time.